So by now, everybody knows how Disney swung in to save Sony from the disaster of killing Spider-Man. Now, before we get into the story on why this deal happened and everything, I just want to preface this right now. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was not a failure. I want to preface that, and I want to make that clear. Did a majority of the fans hate it? No, they actually didn't. There was actually more fans that liked the series than didn't. And I know that's kind of crazy to conceive out there because of so much negativity towards it, but I'm telling you the facts. Did I love the movie? No, I did not. But the fact is that a majority of fans that voted on it actually did enjoy it. They enjoyed the movie a whole lot. But when it came down to actually getting down to the nitty-gritty, the movie did not actually even fail when it came to money. So let me kind of just take a step back and talk about this. So in the long run, on Rotten Tomatoes, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 did 52%. That's better than a lot of movies today that are coming out from other competitors. And believe it or not, people will then bring up, well, it was a financial failure. Yes, it made the least amount of money out of the Spider-Man movies, but it had a $400 million budget with marketing, and it made $758 million back. Now, this doesn't include the DVD and Blu-ray sales, which were tremendous. And in the long run, if you actually look at how much it made double of what a movie like Batman v Superman has made. Which, still, that's not a failure. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a huge success for Sony. But they had to take a step back due to the vocal minority of fans, and that would be us, the hardcore Spider-Man fans that actually hated the movie, and we spoke up and the Marvel deal had to be made. So now that that's out of the way, let's talk about why Sony decided to make the deal happen. So essentially, the big thing that thrust this entire thing forward was the fact that Sony was hacked. If the hack didn't happen, we would never have gotten this deal. Essentially, when that giant email hack happened and everything leaked online, we saw that Sony was in dire trouble. Financially, their movie division was dead. It still is dead. Make no mistake about this. They're a dying studio, and they literally acknowledge in those emails, listen, we have Spider-Man, we have to milk this. And all those reports about the crazy movies came out. And what was the Sinister Six movie about? What was Venom about? What's this? Aunt May's spinoff. And those all turned out to be true. And then the fans spoke up. Then we spoke up going, listen, we hate this last movie. We're not going to see this one. And even the people that like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, even they started to go, no. We don't want this, okay? We do not want this. Which forced Sony to take a step back and start looking at everything from a distance. And recently, Amy Pascal, who had her share of email leaks come out there, had this to say: we made 5 Spider-Man movies, and we needed to do something different. And we tried doing a lot of different things, as you know, and that are documented. But the thing we didn't do was put him in the Marvel Universe, and put him in a world where there are other superheroes. Because he was always the only superhero, and that's only so many times that you can tell that story. I really wanted everyone to love me, and if I tell them that I'm Spider-Man, they'll love me. But I can't tell them. So we told that story as many ways as we could, and Kevin Feige and I have been working together since the very first movie. Because he used to get coffee for Avi Arad, if you can believe that. He was very good at getting coffee, though. So like I've said before, Kevin Feige was literally a slave to these Spider-Man movies. He got his start working on the old Spider-Mans. He was more crucial in Spider-Man 2 than any other movie. He was the one to try to work out the Hugh Jackman appearance as Wolverine before the studio shut it down, and then they made up the stupid excuse of, oh, he couldn't find his costume. That's all there, you know. The reason they used Thomas Jane's stunt double as the Punisher at the end of Spider-Man 2 was because of Kevin Feige. He already had this idea, but no one would listen to him. So, essentially, it all came down to Kevin Feige coming back to them after the email hack and going, look at what everybody's saying. You can't do the same thing again. Andrew Garfield's gone. What are you going to do? Reboot a third time? No one's going to see that. And the people that are mad about the last reboot are already hating The Amazing Spider-Man. Now the fans that are going to hate the next one are going to triple, because it's going to be the fans that love the Amazing Spider-Man and fans that love the Sam Raimi one. They were literally backed into a corner, and they had nothing they could do. And then Amy goes on and talks about how her and Kevin Feige actually started having these conversations way earlier than we all expect. He was actually trying to work this out as far back as the start of the MCU. He wanted something to happen, specifically after they decided to reboot, and we know how that went. They tried to get Oscorp Tower into Avengers. Unfortunately, due to time restrictions, that kind of delayed everything, and they really could not do it. And when you really think about it, thank God that didn't happen, because then they would have been stuck and shoehorned into the Amazing Spider-Man universe kind of existing before its failure. So, on one hand, it's a good thing that it didn't happen earlier. On the other, you know, we're getting it a little later than we would have liked to. But when you're thinking about it now, they talk about how they kind of came to this decision because it was the best thing for everybody. And the studios agreed, we need to save Spider-Man like this, and Disney's the only one that can do it because they've built up such good faith and such good reputation with fans that if we do it, even if we change elements of Spider-Man, we just have to tell a good movie that the fans will trust. And if we do the Disney deal, they'll trust it because they haven't failed them before. Thor 2 sucks, but we forget that. So yeah, that's the story of why Sony went to Marvel and asked for help.